Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Dr. Sarah Hayes. I am a clinical contributor to Take This, and this is Take This Talks. We stream every Monday from 3:30 to 5:30 Pacific. That's 6:30 to 8:30 Eastern. And I am so excited to be here and talk with you today. I know that normally on the third Monday of the month, it is normally Dr. Rachel Coward, our research director. Unfortunately, she is away, but I am here to stand in her place. Well, actually, she's not away for an unfortunate reason. It's actually a really happy reason, but she deserves the rest and the time away. So here I am, hanging out in this space with you, making sure you still get all the goods, excellent conversations, and mental health education. So, hey everybody, how's it going? Hi, Elisa. How's it going? Take this. Hi, Dash. Hi, Swift. Nick, welcome. So excited to see you. A little bit about Take This for those of you who are new. Welcome, welcome. We are a mental health nonprofit that serves the games industry. Our aims are to destigmatize mental illness and mental health and educate in the gaming spaces and industry in order to make them a safer, better, more supportive place to be. So tonight we are going to be talking to a very special guest who I will bring on soon. But I wanted to check in with chat and see how everybody's doing today first. Happy to see you all. Thanks for that link, Dr. Goose. Hi, Crafty Rebel. How you doing? I'm excited to have this conversation tonight. There have been so many times where our special guest this evening has hosted me and had me come onto her show and did some co-hosting with her. And so I am so thrilled that when I get to have a bit of space to talk about such things that I get to bring her back on and pass it on. And so it's going to be an excellent conversation. Good to hear you're doing well. I'm doing really, really great. I got to take my dogs on a lovely walk today. It is very warm outside here where I'm at, and so that was lovely to get a little sunshine and some exercise. Oh, Nick, I'm so sorry you didn't need the second MRI. What a tough process. Yes, the puppies. Now the little one's sleeping next to me on the couch. I'm not going to disturb her because otherwise it's going to get in the way of the whole stream, but without further ado, let me introduce and bring our guest in. She is truly impressive, and I'm going to show off a little bit because she's normally very humble in her self-introductions. She's a gamer, international speaker, editor of the very first esports medicine book that's coming out very soon, a faculty associate for the New York Institute of Technology's College of Osteopathic Medicine, a planning committee member at Western Michigan University Homer Stryker School of Medicine, a medical practitioner, editor of the Annals of Esports Medicine, Play vs. Game Changer, Take This streaming ambassador, consultant for UK United XP? I don't know how to say that one. She's probably gonna laugh at me. And, certainly not to bury the lead, the founder and executive director of Queer Women of Esports. So everybody, please do me a favor and welcome Dr. Lindsey Miglore, or Doc.
Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, better now. It's been a
Good.
busy day, but talking to you never feels like work. It always just feels like fun. So
All right.
I'm happy to
I'm
be
here
here.
for the conversation. I'm very excited. I've tried to frame this the way that Dr. Rachel Coward has. For those of you who are new, she always bases this off of her Zeitgeist content. So this month's is social identity and games. If you haven't been to her YouTube, you can check out her content. Lots of great facts. She summarizes the research in a really consumable way in short videos. So check out Zeitgeist. Great having everybody here. So, before we dive into anything, I wanted to know if you could tell me just a little bit about why you started Queer Women of Esports.
How much time do you have? I thought we only had 2 hours.
I mean,
So yeah, anyone who's ever been involved in gaming and esports, and I'm sorry for the target over my face, but I had to refocus my camera. Everyone who's been involved in gaming, anyone who's ever been involved in esports has experienced toxicity, right? This isn't a just women
Absolutely.
problem. This isn't a just marginalized genders problem, just just a queer person problem. But we experience things differently depending on our identity, and we face different levels of things based on our identity, right? Right?
Absolutely.
I don't need to explain that to you.
We're gonna go over just a little bit of it tonight, but don't worry.
Okay. So when I was younger, I was really good at Call of Duty, like stupid good at Call of Duty. My gamer name was Killin' in Heels. I thought that was very clever.
That is very clever. Great planned words.
you know how many heels I own though, so it was just for
Negative
funsies.
2 pairs.
Negative. That's actually the exact number. If you enter my house in a pair of heels, they get absorbed by the vortex of yeah, heels. I
Yeah.
say something else, but so I was really into Call of Duty, and I started playing more and more and more. And I had a couple friends who were in like MLG at the time, and I started screaming with them. And this was right around the time that I was coming out.
Hmm.
So, stuff. It's funny how when you're younger, if people say slurs but they don't target you, you care a little less. But then when you're, an 18, 19-year-old kid and the words they're saying are targeted towards you, that's when you start to care a little more, unless you're like a very precocious child. Um, and so, they were saying gay slurs, and it was just a little too hard for me to deal with. So I just quit Call of Duty. I quit gaming for a really long time as well. I didn't game for a long time. And obviously, I went back to a little bit. So finally, when I was on the other side of training, on the other side of medical school, I said, what can I do to help? What can I do to make sure that doesn't happen to someone else again? And so I'm kind of starting. I'm making my way to doing that. So that's the medium length story.
Sounds good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're going to be talking a little bit more about queer women of esports as we continue on in this conversation, but I think it's incredibly inspiring. And, I got on board pretty early in the game and was so excited to work with QWE. Um, and I wanted to let Chet know as we're talking about things that if you have any questions for Doc, pop them in the chat. We'll address them as we go. But on a separate topic, I wanted to know, what are you playing these days? Now that you've mentioned you're getting a little bit back into games.
Business meeting today. Good in that, like, I finally have. I have some big news coming out, but I have to. I'm doubling down on my streaming and gameplay again. I haven't been streaming for like a year. I used to stream all the time. Um, so the long answer to that question is I'm playing Fortnite, but I'm not going to be playing Fortnite on stream. So I'm looking to find another game. I'm thinking maybe League, because it's hard to you've streamed and played games. It's hard to talk to people when you're playing video games.
Very hard.
Yeah, and League has a little bit more downtime than Fortnite. So maybe League? I don't know. Help me.
I've got some ideas. I've got some suggestions. Chat,
Okay.
if you have suggestions for Doc, please let her know. That is the age old, be entertaining and play something exciting, and also engage with chat on a regular basis. It's really hard to do.
I want to go back to the old school Nintendo games too, but that was just a little too hard because sometimes the Nintendo wouldn't work. I guess I could do the Switch. I don't know. We
Yeah.
digress.
And so they have Nintendo Online.
Yeah.
If you get that, then you have access to like all the old titles. That's something to get. But today we're learning. So I'm gonna just go over some scientific receipts for a second, if you don't mind.
Oh, I can't wait.
So as I mentioned, Dr. Coert is typically the host of this lovely stream, upon which I've taken up the mantle temporarily. She reviewed lots of fantastic information on the social impact of games, both in her discussion of jargon and her like monthly episodes. She debunked several myths, like if video games have negative social consequences, if gaming negatively impacts our psychological well-being, social well-being, psychosocial well-being even, and if video games have negative social consequences. Now, studies showed, if you're looking for the hot and fast, studies showed that while there have been long-standing social expectations that gaming and online relationships have negative impacts on our well-being and social capabilities, this is actually, in lots of ways, untrue. The TLDR is that the online friendships that we engage in when we game online take up bandwidth that we typically spend in offline relationships. So, of course, if you're spending more time online, you're going to be spending less time offline. That's just how time works, right? Like, yeah.
Follow that, and I don't have a PsyD, so I follow it.
So, this is particularly true with those that are heavy use players. In the research, heavy use players are people who play for 30 hours or more a week. That's darn near a full-time job. So it makes sense that we're seeing social implications or social effects for people who play 30 or more hours a week. But of course, I would expect that to happen, because if that didn't happen, you're not sleeping. You need to sleep. So there's going to be a couple of theories that we're going to be referring to. So if you're looking for what those are, in social compensation theory in particular, individuals who take more to gaming and online communication, it's theorized this is due to a lack of social resources in real life. Now, I want to point out that this is due to multiple potential sources, from mental illness, social skill deficits, but most notably for this conversation, isolation or low support in real life. So we're going to swing back to that. But I wanted to ask you first, just as a little warm-up, what do you think, Doc? Do you feel like online relationships are better, worse, or similar in quality to offline relationships? I don't have an answer. I just want your opinion.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's like, do you like cheese or do you like strawberries better? I mean, I like them both, right? I want them both, but in different parts. For me, my love language is physical touch. So in-person relationships are always going to be different because like the way I express my love to my friends is there. But with online relationships, I feel like we focus so much less on the stuff that society tells us to focus on and more on the stuff that actually matters. So like my online friends, the people I met online, I have such a different relationship with my IRL friends. And I feel like I have to, I don't know, like try less hard because they know exactly who I am in every single, like in this situation, and they don't know this prescribed person that I put forward in real life, like how I dress, how I look, how I walk, how I interact. When you're online with your buddies, it's just organic and there. Um, and I don't know. So it's a hard question.
I know, it is a hard question, and you're not wrong. And science does back up what you're saying, where online relationships are different. I know that I said I didn't have an answer, and it is a matter of opinion, but there is a little bit of research there that I'm recalling as you're talking that basically the depth of relationships online can get deeper quicker, or deeper in a different way because there's a little bit less inhibition when we're online. It's kind of like when you're texting somebody versus when you're face to face saying something. It's easier to yell at somebody in text versus in their face because there's a little bit less accountability there. So I yes, and Dr. Goose stated very succinctly, online relationships are different, but different doesn't mean worse. And it's strange, especially in this time when we're thinking about this with COVID, when we're thinking about this with all of the social isolation and practices that are happening in the last year. Like, you and I met right before COVID went down really seriously. And
True.
So I don't even know how I would categorize our friendship because most of it has developed online, but it started out in person.
Yep. It was Oreo cookied by IRL. I mean, I feel like that's going to be the future of relationships, right? The future of friendships and romantic relationships is probably going to be Oreo cookied like that because as online becomes more integrated, as matchmaking services become more advanced. So like I met my wife on Tinder and I have no shame in saying that because Tinder allowed me to meet people who didn't just go to the same bar that I went to.
Right.
And like, why are we meeting people at bars anymore? Right? Like,
I think
just saying.
I think, yes, I would agree that like the social media version of dating apps is hard because it's a bit more ruthless because, right, that inhibition effect is still there. So it can be a little bit more like a meat market, but in a lot of ways it maximizes your ability to get a feel of what's out there and who's out there and
compatible.
Way more. And it also shows you who's got the good clever writing skills because I mean
yeah
you got this much space. Crafty,
I think it's
go ahead.
I think that's going to be the future of friendships too, right? Like
totally.
I want to search for people in my area who like video games. I don't have any IRL friends around me who play video games. I would love to spend a Friday night playing like Mario Party on my Switch instead of going to the club. But I don't have anyone who does it with me. And so if I could search for that in, online, and then it would be a mix, right? It would be a mix of online and IRL stuff. I think it would just be, always evolving.
Totally. I think that's an interesting example you bring up because Mario Party is now online. Crafty said
just the mini games.
Oh yeah, absolutely just the mini games. That's the best part. Crafty said, for myself, growing up in a place where there aren't any people my age, it's not really possible to have offline relationships. Being online has given me far more and better relationships and has allowed me to actually find people with common interests. That's spot on. Yeah. Yeah.
Me. Crafty's talking about me, right? Crafty, no, I'm just kidding.
So, very topical to my next question. It's like this is all segued perfect. Thank you, Crafty, for making me look smooth. In the isolation of the pandemic, how do you think video games have changed your experience?
There's a lot of really cool studies coming out of this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is going to be how gamers fared versus everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed the incidence of antidepressant usage, anti-anxiety medication usage, alcohol usage, everything it has gone up. Like I'm gonna go ahead and guarantee that.
Mm-hmm.
But a cool thing would be to be compare gamers versus non-gamers, because I think a lot of people the rug got pulled out from underneath them, right? Like my wife, for example, is a very social person, super extroverted, always is with friends. In her prime, when she's in a room full of people talking to 30 people, and she had a really hard time at the beginning of the pandemic. She had a really hard time adjusting, and I think struggled with not feeling happy for the first time in her entire life. So I bought her a puppy, and that helped. But she had that transition. I didn't have that transition. I was fine. I still am fine. I still had my friends. I still had my video. I still had the way to connect with other people. So I think that during the pandemic, gamers were definitely a little bit more resilient, but it's only because our life didn't get as uprooted. I mean, all of our lives got uprooted, but our life didn't get as uprooted. I'm also interested on this topic to see how people go back to normal. So for me, before the pandemic, I would like dabble in going out. I would dabble in doing, big parties. I'm done with all that now. Like I'm so done with all that now. So I'm wondering how people are they going to return back to normal? Who's going to return back to normal?
I think that I would hypothesize in agreement with you. I think the pandemic has created a massive reprioritization of how we spend our time. And I know that for a lot of folks, for immunocompromised folks, this isn't over. It's not going to be over for a long time. So I think socially, this is going to have long-term impacts. But also, it's making us question, like, what do I really want to do with my time? And also, many of us have experienced loss in this time. And so we value life differently. We value relationships differently, I would estimate. Dr. Goose wants to know, how would you define a non-gamer?
Can I use the definition in the definition? The word in the definition?
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't play video games. And I think whenever I have a book coming out next month, and one of the really important things that I made sure to do was we tend to classify gamers as people who play PC and console games, right? And then all of a sudden or just tier one, esports, just tier one esports. But when you do that, you ignore a whole population, right? You ignore women who play mobile games more frequently. You ignore the BIPOC community, who is much more prevalent in the fighting games community, the FGC. And so for non-gamers, I would say people, who don't play any form of video gaming, like mobile gaming counts. Sorry, Grandma.
Absolutely.
Mobile gaming counts.
100% agreed. And I think that is something that does allude to part of why QWE exists, is that there's a lot of marginalization, a lot of gatekeeping around, well, you're not a real gamer, you're not a real esports, like, aspiring competitor because you play Fortnite. It's like, that's not necessarily true, but cool for you to make that an arbitrary rule right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
It's just people gatekeeping because they're benefiting from the status quo, right?
It's true.
If you're benefiting from the status quo, you don't want to include other people, because once you include other people, then there's more competition. Once there's more competition, then everyone sees you for how mediocre you are. So
big fish in a small pond ain't a good look.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. I think these are great conversations to have, and yeah, I'm having a great time.
Good. I'm having a great time. So calling back to that social compensation theory, this is not meant as a pop quiz. I think about how queer folks experience frequent lack of social supports in real life. Whether, when they came out, their family was like completely not okay with it, perhaps even ostracizing them or um, kicking them out. Sometimes it's friends that before you came out were very close and people you could rely upon, and then after you came out, they treat you differently if they talk to you at all. There's a lot of lack of social support sometimes for queer people. So I wanted to know, how does QWE offer a unique space for queer individuals and allies? Because I think it's pretty amazing and special.
So before I formed QWE and before I met you,
Mm-hmm.
I had a group of people who I played video games with, right? If I want to play video games, I knew they were down to play. I could log on and I'd play with them. They were all white. They still are. They're all still there. They're all white, cis, straight men. All of them. Every single one of them. I went to med school, or I did my residency with some of them, and I love them all. I love them all so dearly. But what we talk about is very different than what I talk about with other people. And there's a push to kind of like bro up. Like we all, if you're in traditional sports, if you're in esports and you're, the only marginalized gender in the room, we tend to like bro up a little bit. Um, and that kind of comes from being in medicine, being around those type of people all the time. If you want to get something done, you can't just be loud and radical all the time, right? You have to know how to get your point across. You have to know how to make your points heard and listened to and understood. And that's one of the things that I struggled with in my early 20s was I would just get angry and yell, but it didn't help, right? So now I grow up a little bit, and then all of a sudden people are stopped saying, no longer using slurs because I'm like, I asked them nicely. So that was the crew that I always played with, and I still love them dearly, and I still play with them. But with QWE, I can play with people who have the same ideals as me, people who are in the same who have had the same struggles as me, people who understand toxicity. Like I don't have to tell people not to use slurs. I don't have to explain to people why that meme is inappropriate. I don't have to. It's just your barriers come down when you're no longer defending yourself, when you're no longer defending every single marginalized community. Your barriers come down. And then all of a sudden, instead of just playing video games, you're building relationships, and you're creating a community, and you're learning about yourself, right? Like, because if you're constantly defending yourself, it's hard to grow, right? You can't, if you're surrounded by enemies and your walls are up the whole time, you can't build your moats, you can't harvest the forest or whatever people did in ancient times. And that's really what QWE does. It allows your barriers to come down while gaming, and it allows you to find a community, and not just a community, like a community with a purpose, a community that actually is doing what they say they're doing. And that's how you build inclusivity in esports, because the reason why there aren't more marginalized genders in T1 esports orgs is because they weren't given a community to grow and train. Right? I want to get better at League so I can carry my teammates who I really like. And I'm not getting better at League if I'm playing with bros and my walls are up the whole time, right? I like that's if
You can't focus. Yeah.
Exactly.
Your mental resources are tapped because you're spending time trying to logic out how to explain something to somebody without insulting them to the point of being kicked or threatened or making.
And I'm not saying that like all bros have your walls up. Absolutely not. Some of the people in this chat are bros, and I know that they're like amazing and wonderful and lovely. But it's important to have a community of like-minded individuals regardless of demographics, right? And that's what QWE is.
Absolutely. So we're going to do a little bit of a pivot. I wanted to talk about what some of your favorite ways to learn new game strategies and skills are. I know this might not feel on topic, but hang with me, and I promise we'll swing right back on.
I mean, I trust you. So when I'm trying to learn something new, you gotta get some basic level of familiarity. So I learned League this past year. Great game. I jumped in the game. I did the tutorials. But then you got to do your research, right? If you want to be good at something, you can't just do the thing, right? If I want to get better at basketball, I'm not just going to go play basketball over and over again and just scrimmage. That's a waste of my time. So tutorials are really important if you're trying to learn a new skill. If you're trying to learn any new skill, Google it, look it up on YouTube, right?
Mhm.
YouTube is a better teacher than any single one of my college professors ever. Way better than my med school professors. Look it up on YouTube. Find the VODs. And then having a measurable way to track your progress is also super important. If you're involved in any sort of FPS game, any game that involves aim, you got to get an aim lab. Not the other ones, not Kovacs. Aim lab's where it's at. The neuroscience is there. The neuroscience is developing. Training individual skills, right? So if you want to get better at basketball, you don't just scrimmage all the time. You work on dribbling, you work on passing, you work on shooting, you work on communication. VOD, and then film yourself while you're doing it. Or if it's video games, record your gameplay and then review it with a purpose. And don't just review the times that you did well, review the times that you did poorly, because that's when you learn the most. And those are my top 3.
That's amazing. Now, and this is funny because you said exactly what I knew you were going to say.
Like you're around me all the time.
It's true. I know you love to watch streams and VODs. This is reflected in the research as well. In the social cycle model of video games and social media use, it's true. The research actually supports your strategy and how to learn. YouTube is indeed an excellent teacher. So, to swing back, I also wanted to know, what do you feel like the value of building safe spaces is for others when it comes to online communities?
Do you want me to connect those 2 things?
You can if you want to.
I think in order to be the best, you have to train with the best. Plain and simple. And I understand I'm talking about the extremes now, and I'm not talking, I'm talking about the value in esports and less so in gaming. But if you want to be the best League of Legends players, you're not going to get any better playing against me, right? You're not going to get better playing against me. I'm trash at League. What are you going to learn? How to celebrate?
Just reframe. You're new at League. It doesn't mean you're trash. It means you're new.
2 things aren't mutually exclusive, though. So
I believe in you. You can do better.
So in order to, get better at a game, you have to compete against the best. And if the community isn't inclusive, then you either can't or are unable to compete because of the conditions. And then for non-super competitive video gaming, it's just about existing, right? When you're other in any category, when you're with a community that isn't inclusive, your identity itself is political, right? Like your identity, when I go back home to Michigan and hang out with my high school friends, the fact that I'm queer is political, right? And that's so unfair. That's so unfair. Like, why can't we just exist? Why do we have to constantly be like talking about politics or talking about social change? Or I just want to chill sometimes and play darts. And so it's hard, when you have an inclusive community, you don't have to be political. You can just exist. And that's when fun gaming happens, right? Like that's when, and so it's just like a right to just exist. And so inclusive gaming communities allow you to just have fun, exist, and let your barriers come down.
Beautiful. Wow. You are continually impressive. I love your social speaking skills. I could throw any question at you. So
do it. Come on.
You've kind of named this, but I also wanted to point out for people being like, yeah, okay, social justice warriors, whatever, like play games, turn off the chat, turn off the whatever, like you can do whatever you want, just don't mess with me. What is the risk of not having safe spaces online, spaces for marginalized genders, spaces for folks?
From the least terrible exclusion, if there's no spaces for people, then they're gonna go away from the game. I mean, I have moved largely away from the competitive Fortnite scene. There was a time when I was gonna train every day and get mad good at Fortnite, compete in the Women of the Arena tournaments, and just have a great time doing that. But me doing VOD reviews and me watching the best streamers involved a constant tirade of terrible toxicity, and it just becomes taxing. Wow, look at that alliteration. So when you don't have inclusive spaces, it pushes people away, right? And if you don't have inclusive spaces, then you're not going to have diverse spaces because you're not going to recruit and have people who aren't already there and in power. After that, it's going to be worse. It's going to be a worse space, right? If you only have one demographic or one type of person involved, then you're missing out on an entire talent pool that will never, ever, ever help you. And then on the flip side, it's terrible for your mental health if you have to be involved in the situation, right? Say you're a mod for a Fortnite streamer, or say you're involved in the production of a Fortnite event, and you have to be involved in that. It can be obviously terribly taxing. I always feel weird talking about mental health in front of you because like you're so much smarter than me about this stuff.
Stop it.
But
that's like me walking in and being like, yes, back pain. I know all about it. Like, no, I know nothing about back pain, of course. That's your we can coexist, and you know lots about mental health.
Yeah, okay, fine. It's obviously just terrible for mental health, and
absolutely.
I don't need to talk about the repercussions of that.
And I mean that bit of exclusion, we're talking about social learning, we're talking about social involvement, and yes, there is that peppering bit of like, especially when we think about esports, they are people who are going to be playing 30, 40, 50 hours a week. But also, if they're doing that, they're aiming at it being their job, or it is. There's interactions there, and there's in-industry interactions, and so in this light, having that community gives people the opportunity to be able to actually pursue something they want to pursue without the same barriers that are currently there, like you've been discussing. So I think that it's so incredibly valuable. I wanted to know, what is the biggest thing that you've learned in building both your GamerDoc and QWE communities? That's a big question.
People's opinions don't matter. That's honestly, and I say that if you go in with that mentality, then when you find people like Dr. Hayes, you find people like Dr. Coer, you find people like Dr. Dunlap, you find people like Mr. Gao, like Nick, their opinions matter, right? Because you can filter that. You can filter everything out because people give terrible advice. Terrible advice. My residency director at Georgetown told me that there was no future in esports, and I was losing my sense of self if I didn't go into sports medicine like previously planned. It's like, this is going to be a terrible career move. You're missing out on a huge opportunity. You need to do this. And I didn't listen to him. But he was my senior. He was my mentor, and I didn't listen to him.
He was probably trying to look out for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People meet even like your friends, right? I always say this: don't listen to your friends. Don't listen to your friends, right? The amount of times that I come in, that someone comes into my office and is doing something poor for their mental health, and they say, "Oh, my friend told me that." Mm-hmm. Listen to your friends about things that your friends know what they're talking about. But the other time, do your own research. Make your own opinion. But if you go into any sort of forward-facing space, people are going to not like you for the simple fact of how you look, how you talk, the shirt you're wearing. And if you care about all of that, it's going to be taxing, and you're going to get pushed away, and you're going to get pushed out of the space. I read all the comments on every single one of my Twitter posts, every single one of my Instagram posts, every single one of my YouTube videos. I read every single one of the comments because even my biggest critic I can learn something from, but I don't care about what they're saying, right? It slides right off. And when I say, and I promise I will wrap up in 1 second, but
okay.
When I say don't care about other people's opinions, I don't just mean the bad stuff, right? Because it's really easy to say, and it's really common to say, don't listen to the haters, don't listen to the trolls, right? Everyone says that. Don't listen to people when they hype you up. Don't listen to people when they tell you you're doing amazing. Because if you get hyped up by people hyping you up, you're going to get pulled down when people want to pull you down. Validation has to come from inside. Validation has to come from your own sense of purpose and your own passion. And I'm not saying don't reach out to your support system when you need to. Of course. And I'm not saying don't listen to Dr. Hayes when she gives you good advice, or someone else when they give you good advice. But that's your default should be to come from inside. And then your special circumstances can happen. And that's my biggest biggest advice I can ever give someone, ever. So there's that.
Sense. And I would even say, because you know me, I love a good reframe, that you don't internalize the negative feedback.
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes it's nice to kind of save a screenshot of those positive commentaries or those good moments. Like I know that I've worked in clinics that are pretty thankless places to work. I've worked in forensics, I've worked at places where it's really tough. The population is really struggling and there's not a lot of happy or good days because a lot of the work is to help individuals stabilize. And so when they give you a card that says thank you so much, or they drew you a picture, especially with the children that I worked with, when they painted me a picture, even though the next day they were literally throwing books at my face, I remember that those paintings are nice. I don't personalize, I don't internalize the moments where they throw books at my face because they're mad that their mom is gone. And so it's nothing to do with me, but I'm just the closest warm body to throw something at because they're upset and I listen. But I don't internalize those books.
That painting itself, you and I are talking about the same thing here.
Yes,
because
yes.
that painting itself doesn't bring you joy. I mean, sure, it might be a really good painting, but it's the fact that you got through enough to them that when they sat down to arts and crafts, they made that for you.
Yes.
Right. And that means that you are doing a good job. And that comes from inside.
Yes. I mean, yes. But it is the result of someone else's feedback that tells me that I'm doing a good job, as well as my own reflection.
Totally. Sure.
Knowing.
I'm not sure. Yeah, you're
okay. Oh, I love our discussions. No, I think that's excellent. Excellent feedback. You have initiated a unique sort of community and organization with me. One where it hosts both professional and a casual community friend space. How do you see these working together? Because I think it's curious. These kinds of things are starting to pop up, especially during the pandemic. We've had more organizations transfer everything they're doing online. And so I was just curious how you see these two things kind of in a symbiotic relationship.
People forget about esports a lot is that you don't have to be good at video gaming to be involved in esports, right? That's like 5% of it. And when you mix professional and casual gaming, you're not really mixing casual and professional gaming because your casual gamers probably work in esports, right? Like your people who are, the bronze level of league. I don't even know if that's a level because I can't play ranked yet because I'm still so new. You know, that's your esports talent. That's your host, right? That's your producer. That's your college coach. Those communities aren't very different in itself. And I think one of the things about, me personally being a doctor, I always had to take myself so seriously, professionally, because, the first doctor out there calls me Lindsey, right? They're gonna say doctor this, Lindsey, right? Only lady. Why not call her Lindsey? So I had to take myself really seriously to be taken serious, and I'm kind of done with that. I'm done with acting like anything other than what I am. And that's liberating. And I think that we can have like a casual, silly fun time, but then sit down and get stuff done, get work done, right? Like we can have a silly laugh among us stream and then go out there and change the esports industry. And I think not taking yourself so seriously is one of those steps, because if you take yourself so seriously as a, I'm 31 year old, I get messages every couple of days from med students who want to do what I'm doing and like, how do I do what I do? Blah, blah, blah. So they watch me on this stream, they watch me on my YouTube videos, they watch me on Twitter, and I'm constantly professional and forward facing and blah, 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 blah. They think they need to be like that, right? So they strive to be something that maybe they're not. So, me mixing those things and me being my genuine self, I think makes me a good mentor. Because, you don't have to be someone else. You can just be the person that you are. Just be a good person, and it doesn't matter who you are. Just be a good person. Like that. So I think that really didn't answer your question, but it answered a question.
No, I think it absolutely did. I think it absolutely answered my question, honestly. I think from a workspace approach, without the team building exercises, ropes courses, but in our case, because we're not a regular old work team, right? It's something completely different. Maybe Among Us is the topic of the day. But when there are those collaborative experiences of joy and fun, it allows everyone to be more comfortable around each other, get to know each other, feel more at home, and able to engage in that workspace as their true selves.
Yeah.
That's what I gathered. I thought it was amazing. So chat, please let us know if you have questions. I have asked absolutely every question on my more serious sciencey talky list. And I wanted to do a brief segment that Dr. Rachel Coward always does on this that I so enjoy, and it's honestly my favorite part other than the facts. So we are definitely going to do 10 questions to get to know you better. And I'm really hoping I don't repeat any of them that she asked you on the Zeitgeist stream.
No, I don't. How do you find 10 things that you don't already know about me?
I mean, it doesn't matter if I know them.
Oh, okay.
But I think I found questions that I don't know.
Okay.
But insert your questions here. If you all have questions for Dr. Lindsey, please know that as we answer them, we are not your doctors. I'm not your therapist. She is not your medical provider. This is not medical or psychological advice, but we will definitely share with you our thoughts. So the first question I drew out of the bag: what is your favorite day of the week?
It was recently Sunday, but it is now Saturday. I mean, it's always Saturday. Saturday's the best day. You wake up, you have the whole day to do stuff, mostly work for me, but and then you get to sleep in the next day, which is clutch. So Saturday, I mean, whose favorite day of the week isn't Saturday?
I mean, if your day off isn't Saturday, Sunday,
That's
then
true.
Like, my weekends are Wednesday, Sunday, so that kind of stinks, but Saturday ends up being my favorite day because I know I get to sleep in the next day, just like you're describing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's fair. What is your favorite ice cream topping?
Caramel.
Delicious. Oh my gosh. Caramel.
But just give me mint chocolate chip ice cream with like nothing on it and I'm good.
Is that your favorite ice cream?
Yeah, dude. Give me the Breyers. Don't give me the fake green stuff. Oh, also, if you're in Michigan, though, Superman ice cream, you can't get it anywhere else other than Michigan.
You can, yeah, it's a Midwest thing, because you can get it in Minnesota. For those of you who are uninitiated, Superman ice cream is red and yellow and blue in a swirl. And I think it's vanilla?
It's wild cherry, blue moon, and then banana, which I am not for, but when it's mixed all together, you can't tell. It's delicious.
I haven't had that in years, but you can definitely get it here. What were you gonna ask?
Yeah. Me?
You had a comment.
Oh, I just Googled Superman ice cream home delivery, and I can get it in bulk for only $50, and they'll deliver it in dry ice. So,
well, we know what your activity is going to be tonight. See, Swift Killa, their favorite day of the week is Monday.
Interesting.
I would be very curious as to why. Maybe this is a new study. I'd be
curious. Yeah. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. What fictional character do you relate to the very most? Doesn't have to be from any particular grouping. It can be games, it can be books, it can be movies, it can be whatever.
Can I get a hint?
But it's your answer.
Can I phone a friend?
Or like not the most. Okay, so just one that you have related to.
Like Lively from that movie we watched.
A Simple Favor?
Yeah, but also Laura Croft.
Lara.
Because the guy kept being like, wear this dress. And she's like, I don't want to wear a dress. I want this long braid and to swing from the sky and go dig into holes. And also, I don't need anyone else except for my robot friend.
I think we know what you need to do on your streams now. You need to play Lara Croft Tomb Raider and voice over the entire thing.
Lara. Do they still
Lara.
make those games?
Yes, they just remade them. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, they just remade them, and they did them at an excellent quality. I highly recommend.
All right. Maybe.
Sukila says, Mondays always feel like a fresh start, so I take advantage. That's fair. Yeah, Dr. Kelly gives her stamp of approval. Tomb Raider and Rise of Tomb Raider are both great.
All right, I'm doing it.
Do it. Fun fact, a girl I went to high school with was the physical model for who they built that character after. It's weird playing it, because playing control of my... Anyway.
Yeah.
Weird. Super weird. Do I have to answer these two? Am I answering these two? I don't even know who I relate to.
Dr. Hayes.
Who I relate to.
Fictional characters are just so characterized.
Uh-huh.
So you don't, like, they don't match anything.
Right?
You know?
Yes. Ash says
It's a
Peely
good
in
question.
Fortnite. Shut up. That's not nice. I relate to...
This is hard. Well, we'll have to do this offline because we need to
Yes.
find the actual answers.
We do have to find the actual answers.
Perhaps a Discord poll.
That's a good idea. I think if I had to give an off-the-cuff answer, it would definitely be Arya from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
What is your favorite board game?
Parcheesi.
They're cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
I've never...
Great game.
That's really
Great
your
game.
favorite board game? Like board game?
Yeah,
board
that
game?
or backgammon.
You love the classics.
Yeah, like, why would I need to play a complicated board game when I can just play backgammon? It's the best game.
But there's so many fun ones that, like,
Yeah,
are
like
new
backgammon.
and different. Mr. Gao
It's
says
just
Uno.
It's just like my book taste. Like, I'm not going to read a new book. I'll just, like, reread East of Eden. Like, just give me a John Steinbeck
Say
novel.
that 5 times fast. Reread East of Eden.
I had a speech impediment as a kid. I couldn't say my R's, and so when I talk too fast, it sometimes comes out. So now you feel bad, huh?
I do.
Yeah, awkward.
Right. And also, I give you the space to re-say it, and no judgment.
Awkward.
I would not be able to say it 5 times fast. Dr. Kelly says Disney Trivial Pursuit. Dash's Monopoly, Crafty Rebel, Atmosphere. I've never heard of that one. Personally, my favorite board game right now is one called Horrified. It's not scary. Before you tell me, go away. Doc doesn't like scary things. It's a game where you are it's a cooperative game. Everybody's working towards the same goal of defeating the classic Universal monsters. So like Invisible Man, Frankenstein and his Bride, Wolfman. And so you go around and you escort villagers back to their homes, and you collect supplies, and then you defeat the monsters. Lisa says, I love Betrayal at House on the Hill, which I always want to call House on the Hill House. Yeah, I feel that. Yes, it's a great game. Also a great game. Yep. Also cooperative. Have you played that one?
Nope.
It's kind of spoopy.
It sounds terrifying. I actually kind of droned it out because I didn't want to hear about it. Scouring.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think I know the, Lisa says, darn you, Netflix. What do you typically have for breakfast? I think I know the answer to this question.
Oh, wait, I want to hear what your answer is.
I would estimate, so first of all, for the unaware, Doc is vegetarian almost towards the vegan end of things. Pescatarian-ish, pesca vegan, I don't know. Very plant-based, some fish, mostly veg. So I know that you are, well, but then there's frittata, which you make with eggs.
I made eggs this morning too.
Yeah, eggs and frittata. Also, like toast or sandwiches. You love the avocado on there.
Yeah, I try not to eat carbs in the morning. I try not to eat simple
Oh,
carbs in the morning because it spikes your insulin and then you get hungrier throughout the day. So I wake up, I do yoga, I drink black coffee, and then like an hour later, after another cup of black coffee, I usually will hard boil 2 eggs and mash them up with avocado and like some olive oil and some salt and pepper. Mwah. All you need. All you need. You got your fat, you got your protein, you're good to go. Oh my god, it's so good. Yeah.
delicious.
I couldn't I tried you remember when I tried to be a vegan
Yep.
and it didn't work because I was just I love eggs and I love cheese.
How many have we gotten through? 1, 2, 3. We're only halfway there. Let's see. What is one habit that you have that you're proud of?
It's so funny because some of the stuff that I like, when I explain stuff, what I mean to say, but sometimes it comes out differently.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think one of my best attributes is that I'm harder on myself than anyone else could be. And I think that's where my confidence comes from because if I please myself, I'm like, good, let's go. I know I'm doing right. But I'm never like, I'm always happy, right? I'm always happy. I love my life. I love everything I'm doing. I wouldn't exchange my life for anyone's, not even Laura Croft Tomb Raiders, maybe Laura Croft Tomb Raiders. But I'm never satisfied. Like, I know that I can do everything better. Everything I'm doing can be improved upon. Everything that I'm doing can be done better. And yeah, I like that about myself because I'm never going to be stuck in my ways. Like I might seem stubborn, but I'm not stubborn. I'm not
You are
totally
so
stubborn.
stubborn.
Okay, but maybe. But you know what I mean.
You're not inflexible.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
you are, I think when you're thinking of stubborn, I hear determined.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
determined. You're not stubborn.
Mhm.
You're still kind of stubborn. Stubborn's a good thing. I don't know. I value being stubborn. Mr. Gao asks, was black coffee an acquired taste?
Oh, if you get excellent coffee beans, you can drink black coffee. Oh, just get some Compass coffee or get some like La Colombe, and it's also good. Like if someone else is gonna make me coffee, I'm gonna be like, give me some oat milk and that. Give me like a little bit of maple syrup. But most of the day, it's just black coffee because it's just so good. So good.
Oh, good.
Backstreet's back, all right.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Now I have Backstreet. Great.
You're welcome.
I love it. All right. Would you rather ride a bike, ride a horse, or drive a car?
Ride a
This
bike.
answer.
I hate driving. I think driving is terrible. People are such bad drivers. Like people don't understand that they're operating a machine that can cause serious damage. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't like driving.
I'm with you.
I love biking, but not around cars. But yeah. And then horses are great, but I don't have you have to like ride horses all the time for it to not hurt.
That's not true.
All right.
Is it? I don't know. I grew up riding horses, so I would always choose the horse every single time.
Yeah, but like if you ride that horse once, the next day you're not gonna ride that horse again.
Get back up on that horse.
Just get right back up on the horse.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna do. It's a famous cliche saying for a reason. Once you
Mm-hmm.
get on it, then it's like your muscles or whatever. They might feel atrophied, but you just sit back down.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I feel
How many?
like
Wait, just so I can mentally prepare myself. How many questions have we done?
7.
Oh
Have 3
wow!
more.
Wow. Okay.
3 more.
Fantastic.
Dr. Dunlap rides horses a lot, as always. She says, just swap saddles, you're fine. So
So
apparently
now I have multiple saddles.
Yes, there's technique behind this. There's technique.
I would trust Kelly. I would trust Dr. Dunlap. Dr. Dunlap, if you have the horse, I will ride the horse. I will pick the horse over the bicycle if you are in charge.
Just gotta be in charge.
Yeah. Okay.
If you could only have one sense, what would it be?
What are my senses? Touch, taste, sight,
Hearing.
smell, hearing. Sight. 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 Touch. Touch. Pause. Engage.
Final answer?
Touch. Touch. I choose touch. I choose touch.
Okay. Okay, so Dr. Kelly, you bring up a good point. Proprioception. How is that the same or different than touch? And which one is the proper sense, Doc?
Perception is a sense of touch. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because sensation, proprioception, temperature, pinprick, 2-point discrimination, those are all touch sensations, I think. I mean, they're all based on like mechanoreceptors. So I would say proprioception is touch. Final answer.
Touch. I can't decide between touch or sight.
Yeah.
I think that's hard because touch is so
Yeah.
much of what makes the world the world. Because then if touch is gone, what's happening to you?
Right, exactly. Exactly. Without touch, sight would allow you to maneuver the world easier because of ableism. But I don't know if I would enjoy it as much.
Well, it makes me think about the people who like don't have pain receptors or like their pain reception is broken in the
Yeah.
brain and like they're likely to suffer
Nope.
so many injuries.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah,
many
I mean,
injuries.
hugs are my favorite thing. And like I said before, Dr. Dunlap, physical touch is my love language. I need touch.
What is taste if not touching with your tongue?
Taste is your trigeminal nerve and your facial nerves conveying sensation to your brain to prevent you from eating poison. Any other questions?
But that's if there is no touch, can you touch things to your tongue?
Yes, you would feel the sensation of it on your tongue, but you wouldn't taste it. Actually, I'm sorry. I think it's your facial nerve and your glossopharyngeal nerve, not your trigeminal nerve. I think the anterior 2/3 is the facial nerve, and the posterior third is either the hypoglossal or the glossopharyngeal nerve. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've been in med school.
That's a lot of nerves. I love it. Okay. What is your least favorite chore?
Define chores. Psychologize you. Psychologize.
No, I'm just trying to think of what all it categorizes.
So like laundry?
Yes, cleaning and maintenance of like your surroundings and environment. or the way Kelly puts it, sure, a task you don't want to do but you need to do.
The thing is I don't know, I like everything I do. So one thing my mom did, so I did not grow up with money at all. At all. Blue collar through and through. But one thing my mom said is she refused to clean the house. She's like, I don't want to clean the house. So she always had cleaning people come in. And so I've always had cleaning people come into my house because I just don't want to clean my house. And so, yeah, I don't clean my house. Laundry's fine. My wife and I like tag team it now. So like one of us will unload and then I'll go upstairs and like fold a couple things and hang it. What else are chores? I don't know. Like I love gardening. I love weeding. I think it's fun. I installed some pavers for 6 hours yesterday. That was super fun. Pulling up a bush in the back, that's fun. It's like, man, I like exercise.
Your definition of fun, and I think many others' definition of fun is a bit different. And I respect your definition of fun.
I don't know, like work is anything that you're forced to do and play is anything that you choose to do. So I just choose to do everything. Life is so much about mentality, right? Like we all walk around with like our own excuses all the time. And if you just like stop believing your own excuses, the world becomes a lot better. Like make stuff fun. Make stuff fun.
I like to gamify things. When I was a nanny, I had to ask the two children to do chores, and they always had a list because part of their responsibilities, since we were all home all the time, all summer, was to do some of the cleaning. And I would gamify it and be like, who can get their chores done given the rule base was effectively. So it's not shortcutting, it's not doing a poor job, but who can get it done faster? And all of a sudden they were excited to do it. Oftentimes they'd get it done before I even showed up at 7:30 in the morning, and then it's like, Sarah, we did it, I won. And then they got to pick what we ate for lunch. So
Wonderful.
it was that made it easier to get them to do the cleaning because it was something that they actually enjoyed in a weird way. Even though they don't like cleaning, they enjoyed that experience.
Yeah. Like I walk by the dishwasher, if it's clean, I'm like, all right, how fast can I do this? I have broken a couple things though.
I couldn't do that.
Things.
I would not have any dishes left. I would break a lot of things. I'm too clumsy. But that is a good point. Like you could do it on a pace like the way we used to play Guitar Hero. For those of us who can't go as fast as we can, you could do it like, can I put this away on a 4-beat? That feels a little more elaborate. But
and when I load the dishwasher, I try and load it in like a way that's smart. Like I love packing cars for trips. That's I just love packing cars for trips because it's like, how can I fit this in the most efficient way? So when like I pack the dishwasher, I'm like, how can I pack this so unloading is the easiest? So like all my spoons in one thing, all my forks in another thing, all my cups in one side. I don't know. I'm just kind of weird, and I like it.
I don't think that's weird at all. I think that's mind-blowing. You've blown my mind in this moment. I never thought about that.
Yeah, load your dishwasher. Load all your utensils in the same little bucket thing, yo. Mind-blowing. Just pick up in one swoop, put them in the drawer.
Ready to go. Oh my gosh.
You don't learn one thing from this stream, learn that.
That's it.
We can go home now.
Mr. Gauss says fixing things that break or having to pay someone to fix it sucks. That's fair. Fixing things that breaks is hard. I find that personally, I really loathe vacuuming. I really don't like it. And I don't know why. And I try to gamify it, and it's still hard to do.
Yeah.
But I play music, I listen to audiobooks. That's how I get my chores done. Or I catch up with a person that's chatty. Like, I have a friend from home here who will talk and talk and talk for like an hour and a half, and I love talking to her, but I gotta get stuff done. So it's great, because if I'm folding laundry, you can just sit and chat, and I'm still getting things done. And my ADHD brain is happy.
For sure. Or like Twitch if I'm folding laundry.
Yes.
Or like I don't have time to watch TV, but if I'm folding laundry, I like throw on like 10 minutes of an episode of something.
Yes. Well, and that's so psychologically, this is a skill that I actually encourage my clients to do a lot, is pair an activity that you enjoy and can easily restrict with doing a job that you don't like to do. So if you like to listen to an audiobook, like I listen to an audiobook for our book club. I listen to it when I take my dogs for the long walk of the day, which I take them for like a 45-minute to an hour walk a day. That's a lot of time where I'm sitting here thinking through my to-do list of the day, and it's stressful. I'm raising my anxiety as I'm walking the dogs. It's a counterproductive activity for me. But when I listen to that audiobook or I'm in a conversation, I know that I'm still getting something done.
Love it.
Yeah. Do you collect anything? Last question from me.
I don't think so. Letters. So any letter that anyone's ever sent me, if it like means something, I probably have it. Yeah, letters and cards that I really like, I save them. I have like a. Here, hold on. These are all cards that my. What?
You're such a sentimental person, and I love it.
These are all cards and stuff that my grandma sent me, like in here. So I don't know. This is one of like 6 of them that I have, though. Like I have a lot of tins of stuff. So I think that's it. Yeah, I don't really. I'm kind of like a clutter-free. You can tell from my background, you guys. I just moved, but I'm like a clutter-free zone.
That's fair. Personally, I collect Christmas ornaments. Ever since I was a kid, I've received them every Christmas. I have like the full Barbie series from Hallmark.
Right. Love it.
You know, I like the ornaments. They're great. Now there's a lot more fun series, and I don't just have to get Angels and Barbies. I can get like other things. There's video game ones out right now that I'm really excited about. Um, oh, okay. So Dr. Dunlap's 4-year-old child asks you, "What's it like being a doctor?" From Grant.
Grant, well, it's like being a less cool version of your mom. Because your mom's also a doctor, but it's less cool. But really, it's like this secret that I have when I meet strangers or when I'm out in the world that very rarely comes into play. But if something happens, like a switch flips, and then it's like I become a different person. So once every couple of months, something will happen where like the switch flips. Um, so I think that I was playing video games with you, Sarah, the beginning of the pandemic, and I had my headphones on. I was playing video games, and I heard a large crash.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah, and there was a car accident in front of my house, and it was in COVID, and I ran outside barefoot with no mask on, and like this woman was not doing well, and I like dealt with it. And then like at a hockey tournament recently, someone went down, and I had to like walk out onto the ice in like my boots. Yeah, it's like you don't even think about it because I've been trained for years and years and years and years. It's like when certain criteria are met, then this like it doesn't matter what I'm doing, what I was doing, I just become this like different person and do my job. And so yeah, it's both fun but also terrifying because you're always responsible for other people's lives. And everyone knows that I'm a doctor too. So like if someone goes down on the ice, they yell in the stands for me.
Mm-hmm.
What if I'm having a hot toddy? What if I'm my third hot toddy in? You know? Then that's on me. There's a car accident in front of me like last week. And I was like, do I stop? I'm obligated to stop. I have to stop. I saw a car accident. I like it didn't look good. I have to stop. And then I'm like late for my appointment and then blah 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 blah. So it's like it's a blessing and a curse. But I mean I signed up for it. I signed up for it.
So in summary, it sounds like when you're not doing your job, you're just a happy, fun, normal human just like the rest of us. And then because of all your schooling and all the things you learned about the body and about health, when those moments where somebody gets hurt or something emergency happens, you kind of become a superhero and you go and you help and you run into the danger in order to make sure everybody's healthy and safe. And you have special skills to make sure that happens.
Yeah. You just reminded me of Pride last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Pride 2 years ago, we were marching and we had waited like 4 hours to march with my med school or with my residency, and it was like 2 weeks after I had been involved in like an event at another place that I'm not going to give the trigger warning, so I just won't talk about it. But we heard bangs behind us, loud bangs behind us, and then there was a stampede, and I had to like we were all hiding, right? We were all hiding, and I had to like creep out from my hiding place to go fix someone's ankle. So yeah, it's a lot, and there's a reason why doctors sometimes come off as jerks. It's because it's a lot when you let your emotions creep in. It's a lot, but I love my job. I wouldn't change it for anything. It's the reason I know you, so that's reason enough. And Grant, you should be an astronaut. That's a much better job than a physician.
That was the first thing I wanted to be when I was a kid, an astronaut.
Yeah, me too. Did you ever go to space camp?
No, I was going to, and then I don't remember what happened. I think I went to horse camp instead.
Yeah, and it's also like $2,000. But my wife went to space camp as a kid.
I could see Amber going to space camp as a kid.
Right. She was also a clown in the Macy's Day Parade. She's got lots of weird facts.
She's amazing. Dash went to space camp, but there was a tornado. That's not good. Oh. Astronauts deal with a lot of intense stuff just like doctors. They say that you have to have certain personality types in order to do jobs involving emergencies or high crisis states. So like you never want someone with really high anxiety to be an astronaut because if they're on the ship and something terrible happens, you don't want somebody screaming in like, mission control, an engine exploded, ah! You want somebody who can be like, mission control, we had an engine explode, I think we've got a little bit of a crisis here. Like, you want the person who's going to be calm and cool and collected. So that's kind of what Lindsey's describing, and I think is really admirable about jobs that involve emergency, because you do have to get into a different headspace. It is really difficult to develop, but once you've kind of got that developed, it's very automatic, like what she's describing.
Yeah.
The spaceship, my baby, is going to be 100% safe. 100% safe. No explosions. All working out the kinks right now. While, Grant, you are a dear young child growing up and learning, so then when it is time for you to be an amazing astronaut, all of the ships will be.
For sure.
So, well, unless, chat, you have any other questions for Doc, for me, for us together, we'll wait for just another minute, and then we'll sign off. So, I hope today has been fun. I know I've enjoyed myself a lot.
Yeah, I had a great time. I'm just really interested in where I can find delivery Superman ice cream.
That is the #1 target.
I mean, my birthday's in a month, so I figure if I order it today, it'll probably be here in like 2 weeks, and then I'll have enough for the next month.
Lots of delicious ice cream. So, we definitely will raid. First, I want to say thank you so much to Lindsey. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. We so appreciate your wisdom and insight. Where can people find you?
Find me. It's so weird to say this, but I'll be streaming on twitch.tv/gamer.qwe starting the beginning, first week of June, 3 times a week. Otherwise, twitter.com/gamerdoc_. Or, you know what? No, everyone follow me on Instagram, because my person who I've been talking to about this stuff says I need to do Instagram again. So follow me on Instagram, the GamerDoc. Otherwise, you'll just see me on Dr. Hayes' Twitter feed. But
yes.
No, this has been a pleasure. I love Take This. I love what it represents. I love everyone involved in Take This. Eve is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. It's just a pleasure to be involved. Oh, and you, Dr. Hayes, are also amazing. So it doesn't matter like what you ask me to do, it's gonna be a yes. So it just happened to be on the stream.
Right back at you. For those of you who didn't know, I was so happy to co-host with Doc for a while on her Wednesday night streams when she was interviewing people every week relating to esports and health. And so we did have several months there where we would do weekly streams. It was so much fun, and so I jumped at the opportunity to be able to host you back because it's always so much fun.
Yeah, totally.
Mods, if you have any ideas on who we should raid, please let me know. My follow list is a bit sparse right now, but I'm definitely open.
Take This is streaming?
That's definitely us.
So I just wanted you to know that Take This is streaming.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's see. Otherwise, we can always sign off.
Black Girl Gamers is streaming.
That would work. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Jazz.
Is
Jasmine?
It's just the 3 words put together.
Black Girl Gamer.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna raid, so please. Oh, I don't have permission. Kelly, can you help us out? I am a mod, but my powers are limited.
I have the high ground, Anakin.
All right. Well, we are going to go to a thank you so much screen so you can find the Take This socials. Thank you again. Please stick around for the raid, and we